Our father Jacob realizes that his time in this world before he moves on to the next is closing in on him. He calls his son Joseph and asks him to bring his two sons, Jacob's grandchildren, Ephraim and Manasseh, to be blessed. And Jacob blesses Ephraim and Manasseh, and he says to them, the children of Israel will always bless their children with your names, saying, may God make you like Ephraim and Manasseh. This blessing of Jacob, conveyed and conferred upon his grandchildren, has in fact become the blessing that all Jewish fathers bless their children some every Friday night, others on the eve of Yom Kippur. It's a sacred and special moment. And the question is, of all of the great biblical figures, the patriarchs, the matriarchs, and others with whom we have lived throughout the book of Genesis that comes to a close in this week, why is it that Ephraim and Manasseh are the ones who are singled out as to be the ones in whose names the blessing to the Jewish people is always invoked, in the names of Ephraim and Manasseh? And there are two answers to that question. One lies in the words with which Jacob summoned Joseph to bring his two sons Ephraim and Manasseh, in which Yaakov said to Joseph, and now your two sons who were born to you in the land of Egypt, before I came here, they shall be counted as mine. Now we know, of course, that Ephraim and Manasseh were born to Joseph in Egypt. Why does the Torah deem it necessary to repeat that here? And herein lies the first answer to our question. What is so unique about Ephraim and Manasseh is that they were born in Egypt. They were raised in Egypt, a place that the Torah by its own description describes as a very decadent place, a place that Pharaoh himself, 2 generations earlier, had warned Abraham and Sarah, the first Jewish couple, to leave right away from Egypt as soon as possible because the environment is decadent. And here Ephraim and Manasseh, without the benefit of having family other than their own parents to raise them, without the support system of community, without the formal education coming through from a school, they were born and raised in Egypt as proud, knowledgeable Jews. This is what inspired Yaakov so much, because in them he saw the secret to the eternity of the Jewish people, that no matter what our surroundings are like, no matter what the environment around us is like, we are anchored and connected into eternity, into the eternal values that come from God himself. And thus we have the strength and the fortitude to be able to inculcate those to our children, and for our children to own them themselves, no matter what the external environment may be like. That is what moved Yaakov so deeply to not only bless his grandchildren, but they became the standard bearers or the poster children for all future generations of Jews and for the eternal blessing of Jewish continuity. That's one answer to our question. The second is that in blessing both of them, he blesses Ephraim first, the younger child, and Manasseh second. And here Joseph intervenes and tries to correct his father, but his father maintains that the older brother Manasseh is great, but Ephraim has unique capacities for which he receives the first blessing. And so he places his right hand on Ephraim the younger and his left hand on Manasseh the older. And here is the second thing that moved him so much, and that is, even though he blessed the younger first, there was no enmity, there was no jealousy among the siblings. Manasseh did not protest. And here, as the book of Genesis comes to a close, humanity has come full circle. Because one of the recurring stories throughout the entire book of Genesis is sibling rivalry, everybody wanting to be like somebody else. And now Ephraim and Manasseh have demonstrated the power and the dignity of embracing yourself by not measuring yourself by the other. And this is what moved Yaakov to make this the eternal blessing. Because what is the eternal blessing that he is conveying for all future generations, and with which every father blesses each child? The blessing to each child is, be your best you. Don't measure yourself by your siblings, by their accomplishments, by their capabilities. Because there's only one challenge that we need to live up to in our lives, and that is to challenge ourselves to be the best version of ourselves. As the famous Rabbi Zusha of Hanipoli said, when I come before the heavenly court after 120 years, I am not going to be concerned if they ask me, why would I not like Abraham or Isaac and Jacob? The only thing that concerns me is if I am asked, why was I not as great as Zusha could have been? So the close of Genesis, as we have now fully formed as a Jewish people before we transition from a family to a nation, is the power of embracing our own selves and realizing that our only responsibility in this world and in this lifetime is to live up to our own potential. Whatever that may be is uniquely gifted to each and every one of us. Thank you for joining. Wishing you Shabbat Shalom. And please subscribe right here to our YouTube station. And look forward to seeing you again next week, God willing.